Celebrities love to tell us what to do, how to think, and who to vote for. As America gets ready to head to the polls, Hollywood stars are making their political stance known. And in a shock to absolutely no one, many A-listers are backing in Kamala Harris. This is something the Vice President not only embraces, but appears to be relying on, as her campaign is one that is heavy on vibes and light on policy detail. With November 5 approaching, the celebrity love fests are in full swing. Last week, we were treated to what was billed as an interview with Oprah Winfrey, where the presidential hopeful provided compelling answers.
We really would love to know what your plan is to help lower the cost of living.
Yeah, first of all, thank you both for being here. And yours is a story I hear around the country as I travel. And in terms of both rightly having the right to have aspirations and dreams and ambitions for your family and working hard.
What would be specific steps to strengthening the border?
So it's a wonderful and important question. You know, my background was as a prosecutor, and I was also the elected attorney general for 2 terms of a border state. So this is not a theoretical issue for me. This is something I've actually worked on. Okay. I have prosecuted transnational criminal organizations for the trafficking of guns, drugs, and human beings. I take very seriously the importance of having a secure border and ensuring the safety of the American people.
And Oprah Winfrey didn't even try to make it balanced.
Kamala Harris! On the way here, when I was coming through the airport, black man stopped me and he said, I guess he knew I was coming here for something like this. And he goes, well, I'm just tell you, I'm voting for Trump. Getting in the thing.
It's amazing to me that she and the left still think she has the power she had in 1992. Whole generations have been born and are now voting who don't even know who Oprah Winfrey is, or just understand her as like that older woman who used to have a talk show. So she gets out there as though she still can control oceans. She can control entire elections just by deigning to say, vote for this person. It's not Barack Obama's party anymore. And she starts yelling at her audience, Kamala Harris! And all you think is, I can't stand this person. Why is she yelling at me? I'm like, it's very off-putting. And then she brings on her good friend, Julia Roberts, her good friend, Meryl Streep, I wish I could do an imitation right now. What I would do is remove every speck of makeup that I have on and look like the much less attractive person I actually am. No one wants to see that. Make a modicum of effort if you're going to be on camera in front of a lot of people. By the way, it wasn't that many people. It's like 300,000, which, you know, you've gotten that in the 2 seconds we've been together. So she comes out and oh, Madam President. Oh, did I say Madam President? I hopefully, God willing, from my lips to God. Who at home is like, I really relate to her. I bond with the lady who's yelling at me, the woman with no makeup on who's trying to pretend and act her way into getting Kamala Harris into the White House. All of these people, the last time they had a financial problem, we had Jimmy Carter in the office and there were long lines for gas. These people haven't met anybody or spent real time with somebody in the working class who's suffering from Kamala Harris's problems in decades. All the news you see about Oprah is about her biggest decision on whether she should be on Ozempic or Mounjaro, as she's on the back of David Geffen's yacht with all these other celebrities. She's in the news this week. Why? Because of all of her pictures with P. Diddy at his parties where the women were drugged out of their minds and allegedly being sexually assaulted. That's our champion who's going to take Kamala Harris to the promised land. It did nothing for Kamala Harris. And they're so out of touch. They don't know that not only is it not going to help them, it's going to hurt them. They're trying to drive her numbers up with women, where she has I think it's a 12-point advantage over Trump. Trump has some odd 14-point advantage with men over Kamala. So they're trying to get that margin up from 12 to 14 to 15 to 16. But right now, what we're seeing is Democratic enthusiasm is going off a cliff, and bringing Oprah out to run the Meryl Streep, Julia Roberts, Chris Rock triumvirate is not going to do it. By the way, Paul, one other point, they do this every election cycle. They bring out Lady Gaga, they bring out Sheryl Crow, they bring out some aged folk star. No one cares. The people who are going to turn this election, really for Trump, are the ones who probably don't even watch TV. They are in rural communities. They read their books. They spend their times with their friends. They're out on their farms or their ranches, or they're working on their cars. They are definitely not tuning into YouTube to see what Oprah Winfrey thinks about politics.
Well, Kamala's got Oprah and Taylor Swift, right? So 2 constitutional scholars right there. This is just for show. She's not doing any real interviews, right? Oprah's already shown that she's gushing over Kamala. So I don't expect anything of substance out of this. She's not answering any real questions, right? She changes her positions whenever it suits her. She's got nothing to run on. So did Oprah ask her any hard-hitting questions? I would highly doubt that. So, we need real answers from our leaders. We need actual plans. We need, honesty, openness. We need hard questions to be asked. Oprah's not doing any of that. The media is not doing any of that. And, she's not even sitting down for any real interviews. So do we expect to get any answers? I don't think so.
That interview did not move the needle at all here in the US, because we all know Oprah's totally in the tank for Kamala. She gave that speech at the Democrat convention, and she's just a sycophant. So didn't move the needle at all here.
I reckon, though, if you parse all of this, Kamala Harris's internal polls are telling her something she's not thrilled about if she's having to go out and pander to gun owners like this. Could it be that the joy has gone out of her campaign? This whole campaign really revealed Kamala Harris to be an entirely empty vessel without an original thought in her head, which the media doesn't care about, frankly, because they just want to evict Trump so badly from the political scene. And of course, frankly, whoever is actually running the country, because it's not Joe or even Jill, well, they don't mind this either, because they know if Kamala comes in, they'll still be in charge when the Bidens shuffle off to their beach house for good.
Babylon Bee, as we know, is a famous satirical website, very funny website. Their parody of this was that Oprah had done a 60-minute special on warning America about drunkenness. She did it by interviewing one person for a whole hour who was clearly pickled to the eyebrows, giggling and slurring. So the message was, don't let this happen to you. Now, that Babylon Bee suggests her next special will be on the plight of dementia sufferers at the White House.
And that could be very good to watch. I do wonder, though, the whole thing is set up. I don't know whether it's meant to appeal, Freya, to younger people or what it was meant to be. But I found it quite frankly bizarre, that interview.
It was a strange vibe, and I'm still sitting here trying to figure out which has she said more. I'm a gun owner, or I'm from a middle-class family. That's right. My mum didn't buy her first house till I was a teenager. Those are the 2 lines we've heard this entire campaign. I couldn't tell you. Or I'm a prosecutor. I couldn't tell you a single policy, but I could tell you those 3 lines.
She's just so annoying. And this idea that she's got to sort of, let it slip that she's actually just a normal person like you and me, and that she's actually this really kind of gung-ho, middle of the road, middle America, cowboy hat wearing, horse riding, gun toting. It's just
surrounded by celebrities at that event.
That's right. Stop with the celebrities. It is just such a bad look. This is where Hillary Clinton went so horribly wrong, and why she lost to Donald Trump. Because when she was hanging out with Beyonce, Trump was holding rallies with workers in Pennsylvania, and Kamala is doing the exact same thing. I cannot believe. I suppose they need the money, and they think they have to get as much money as they possibly can to put together as slick a campaign machine as possible, because you can't really have her pretending to be real, because she just can't do that.
It's a very good point.
It's just such a terrible look.
I know a thing or two about the Oprah Winfrey Show. I've talked to all of her executive producers from the top one on down. And I also know a thing about daytime talk shows. Not what I had at NBC was not a daytime talk show. We were a journalistic outfit and we did not give questions to anybody in advance, but they do. The Tamron Hall show, they tried to get me on that. They told me they'd give me the questions in advance. I'm like, I don't want the questions and I don't want to go on Tamron Hall. The View gives you the questions in advance. I've been on that show repeatedly. They give them to you in advance. There's no doubt in my mind that Meghan Markle had the questions in advance before she sat with Oprah Winfrey and that they rehearsed how they would act out that little number of what? The color? They worried about the what? And I guarantee you there was same shenanigans with Kamala Harris. That's why she probably agreed to do it, because she would sit with Oprah and she would have the questions in advance. And even with that kind of help, that's the kind of inane answer she gave, like not responsive, on some sojourn off to, I don't know, is it the lawns in her hometown, her alleged middle-class background, her John Wayne routine as a border state prosecutor. I kept them, their criminals out of, okay, right? She's got her little routines down. And what we saw the other night, Thursday night in the Oprah roundtable, was two actresses doing their best to fool us into believing she could be the commander-in-chief.
Kamala Harris appears to be copying the celebrity strategy Hillary Clinton used in 2016, and the history books show that didn't work. Clinton was highly celebrated and cheered on by her celebrity pals, whilst Donald Trump was repeatedly bashed by Hollywood.
Make yourself heard. Tell the world that you care about what happens to it. And if you do vote
and help protect this country from fear and ignorance,
Mark will do a nude scene in his next movie.
Mark Ruffalo
Ruffalo
will do a nude scene in his next movie.
Wait, what?
Mark will do a nude scene.
Mark's gonna have his dick out.
Full Monty.
Full Marky.
No. Go to savetheday.vote. When nobody talked about
Save the day
Make Mark be naked.
by making your mark on November 8th.
they should just vote because it matters, you know? Don't you think? We're all in this together.
This election campaign is proving no different. Moments after the ABC debate between Harris and Trump, pop sensation Taylor Swift chimed in on who her presidential pick is. And surprise, surprise, she's throwing her weight behind the Democrat nominee. In a post to her more than 284 million Instagram followers, she laid out why Harris has her ultimate support. This endorsement has already helped drive over 400,000 people to voter registration resources.
Well, I don't think any of us were confused as to where Taylor Swift was sitting politically. I think most of us probably assumed that she was going to vote for Kamala. It was a very well timed out post with the cat, obviously coordinated long before the day or the time of. So that's obvious to all of us. But I'll tell you this, I don't underestimate it for this reason. Even if these people are not supporting Kamala in polls, she did get a lot of people to register to vote. And if she's getting Gen Z out there registered to vote, they might actually show up and vote. And if they're only taking their policy positions from someone like a Taylor Swift or a Beyonce, yeah, that is a little concerning to me. Nothing we can do about it. I don't think we need to disparage Taylor Swift. She has every ability to endorse whoever she wants. I would just hope that the young people would be smart enough to do their own research. Don't just fall for a cheesy cat post on Instagram after a debate. Do a little more homework before you cast that vote.
I don't think it was any secret based on Taylor Swift's previous political activity where she stood in this race. I don't look, she is very popular. There's no question about that. I don't want to deny that, but I don't know how many people look to Taylor Swift to decide how to vote. And if they do, I think they were probably already with Harris. So I would kind of say both of them are a push. And it was weird, though. I will tell you, if you're Taylor Swift, I'm not sure this was the night to do that. Meaning, if you really wanted to have an impact, throwing it in at almost midnight Eastern Standard Time, where it's going to get mixed into a bunch of stories, is not going to have any real impact, because tomorrow morning and throughout the day here in the U.S., we'll be talking about the debate. So it might be a footnote. And by the way, kind of like you just did now. Oh, by the way, after the debate, she, in her cat photo, endorsed Kamala Harris. If she had done this 2 days from now, it would have been a standalone story, and I think potentially more impactful.
I think that Taylor Swift is so stubborn, and this was such a bad move on her part. If you just scroll through TikTok, you see all of the moms that are like, I will never give her another dime. My daughter will not attend another concert. And I think she really, has become such a polarizing figure for doing this again. And Kamala is not the answer. It's like they were all quiet when it was Biden, and they all knew he was too old. But how is Kamala any better? She is the Biden administration.
In the wake of this endorsement, Donald Trump swiftly posted, "I hate Taylor Swift," sending her fans and the media into a tailspin.
I think, that's Trump being Trump with his four-worded tweet that drove all these media cycles. I think the whole Taylor Swift thing, it's great for commanding attention in the media cycle and sucking up the oxygen, just given the name brand that she is, and Trump knows how to play into that for better or for worse. I don't know that she's really going to influence too many opinions of undecided voters, the few remaining ones in the swing states. But the biggest value she brings is potentially her contributions to database of voters, because since we don't have mandatory voting in the U.S., as you know, so much about it is the turnout game and the machinery of both parties being able to target those last few remaining voters who may not have turned out to vote in the swing states. And she's got this database of hundreds of thousands of concert goers, people that are typically low propensity voters because they're young and they're not inclined to show up at the polls. And if she can convert even 1% to 2% of those people to show up and vote, that potentially is problematic. And I think that the counter to that is going to be the Republican Party doing everything they can to drive turnout from their base to counter what I would call the Taylor Swift database effect.
Donald Trump also has a roster of celebrities ready to lend their support. Notable figures like Elon Musk, Kid Rock, and Hulk Hogan are among them. Unlike the vice president, Trump doesn't centre his campaign around celebrity endorsements. Instead, he shows Americans exactly who he is and communicates exactly why they should vote for him.
Well, I would say for better or worse, he usually says what he's thinking, right? Does she do that? I mean, everything about her comes across as disingenuous and fake. And obviously, Trump is not perfect. He's got a lot of issues, but he kind of just says what's on his mind, right? And does she really do that? I don't know. I mean, then again, this is a person who did horrible in the election she ran against Biden 4 years ago. She's a candidate this time without anyone voting for her at all, and I guess she's just planning on gliding in there based on nothing. So I think in that way, he's doing more than her on that front. And this seems to be her plan. And will it work? I guess we'll see.
Both candidates are crisscrossing the country, making their cases in the lead up to polling day. However, following the last debate, it appears we may not see Trump and Harris back on stage together.
Trump needs another debate here. This race is in a dead heat, but the enthusiasm has been with Kamala ever since they chose her as a replacement for an actual corpse. Trump saw that huge bump of enthusiasm after the first assassination attempt, but he needs another defining moment to seize back some of those percentage points that he has lost in the last couple of weeks. Trump looks weak if he says he's not going to debate her again. He needs to define his opposition. That's what he needs to do. But Chris, if he does a second debate, he needs to be much more disciplined in his preparations. Every single answer that he gives, regardless of the question, needs to be on the topics where Kamala Harris is actively destroying this country. Again, it's crime, immigration, economy. Crime and immigration economy. And he should paint vivid pictures with anecdotes of actual Americans who are struggling, who go to their schools, who go to their hospitals. They are overflooded with illegal immigrants. They can't afford to go buy groceries. And yet we are sending all of our tax dollars across the world to other nations to start wars around the world. We have a border that's completely open. We have cities that are cesspools of crime. These are the pictures he needs to paint, and he can't let her bait him into these petty debates about rally sizes or whatever she tried to do last time.
So to begin with, going back, I don't think he should have debated Biden early like he did to be. He could have been the candidate and this would have been over. But should he debate her again? Probably. I mean, to be honest, even a lot of Republicans thought that she got the better of him. I don't agree with anything that she's saying, but she did kind of get the edge on him in that debate. He's got to come in more prepared. He's got to attack her more. He's got to have some better answers. At one point, he said that he had the outline of a plan, some vague things like that. So if he comes in better prepared, I think he could clean her clock, but he's got to do better than he did last time. So I would debate her again. Is he going to? He says he won't. But this is a person who I think if you get her off her talking points, you get her on edge, you attack her, I think you could easily beat her in a debate. So I think it's an opportunity to take. And given the state of the race, I think he should take it. But will he? Doesn't look like it.
In the arena of politics, a celebrity endorsement can be a powerful tool. As we look to November 5, it appears Kamala Harris hasn't grasped the lessons of past elections. Instead of being upfront and clear about policies, it seems the vice president is getting lost in the allure of popularity. And rather than connecting with the heart of America, she's chasing the superficial glimmer of Hollywood.